Taliban scare tactics and violence are escalating in the hours before Afghanistan's election. At least 13 people have been killed in recent days. A candidate was shot dead, and 3 poll workers were killed when their car hit a bomb. This is raising concerns that the attacks could jeopardize the credibility of the vote. Joining me now on the line from Kabul, Afghanistan, is John Manley. He is there as an election observer with the National Democratic Institute. Mr. Manley, it's great to have you on Canada AM. Why don't you describe for us the scene in Kabul this morning, or this afternoon there?
Well, it's this afternoon, and I've just come in from the streets of Kabul, Seamus. Today is a national holiday in Afghanistan, and so the streets are actually a great deal more tranquil than they've been for the last few days. As far as I'm aware, there haven't been any incidents today apart from a bank robbery, which of course could have happened anywhere. It's not related to the election. But there's no doubt everybody's on edge a little bit as we go into Election Day tomorrow.
Mr. Manley, as an election observer, how concerned are you about the credibility of this election?
Well, that's really why we're here, is to be able to give some outside independent view of the credibility of the election. There are a number of groups from different parts of the world, including the National Democratic Institute that I'm here with, including the European Union and others. And I guess the task is to certainly to note the things that are inadequate, as there are things in every election in, I guess, just about every country, but in this one especially, and try to give some considered judgment about whether the results reflect the will of the Afghan people and are adequately credible, that they can be relied upon.
Mr. Manley, any idea what kind of turnout we can expect tomorrow?
Really, that's impossible to gauge. There are many hopes that it'll be at least as strong as the last time. And in terms of the absolute numbers, it's very difficult to get a percentage because it's hard to know what number to put in the denominator to work out a percentage. There's no permanent voters list. It's not really clear exactly how many people are qualified. But to vote, everyone needs to present an identification card, and then they have to dip their finger in a bottle of silver nitrate, which will probably last on their fingers for some period of time. So they can't come back and vote twice. It's going to be a question of what the signs of potential violence and intimidation are tomorrow. Undoubtedly, it will be tougher to get turnout in the countryside than it is in some of the cities. And we'll see. One of the great concerns, of course, is intimidation of voters by insurgent elements that really want to discourage the election from taking place.
Mr. Manley, lastly, we just covered a story on Canada AM this morning about relief workers being targeted around the world. So I'm just wondering about the kind of security that's there to protect you and other election observers and monitors.
We have private security. As you know, I've had experience both with private security as well as with security provided by the military, the Canadian military. This is very thorough, very competent, very professional. But you can be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's just the way it happens. So I'm confident. I'm not taking any unnecessary risks. I'm under threat from my family if I do, that they'll take a few rounds out of me. But this is important, and I feel personally a sense of duty to be here and to do my part to try to ensure that the result is one that's credible.
Mr. Manley, thank you for your time and thank you for your service. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Seamus. All the best. Bye-bye.
And joining me now from Kitchener, Ontario, is Mark Sedra. He's an Afghan security expert at the Centre for International Governance Innovation. Good to talk to you.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Mark, from the violence that we're seeing right now, do you think that everyone who wants to vote is going to be able to do so?
Well, it's clear that a lot of people are going to stay away from the polling centers on Election Day because the Taliban seem to be coming through on their threats that they are going to disrupt the elections. We've seen some quite brazen, high-profile attacks already in some of the most fortified parts of the country. So I think most people are going to see that as a sign that perhaps it's in their best interest to stay away.
I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's a matter of whether or not this election has any credibility. And when we spoke to our correspondent there, Janice Mackey-Freyer, she said it looks like there'll be a good turnout in Kabul, but it's in the rural areas where the Taliban's intimidation is most effective. If most of the votes come from the urban area and not the rural areas, will it still have the same? Will the result have the same credibility?
No, it won't. We're already hearing that up to 30% of polling centers in the south of the country, which is the majority Pashtun area, may not even open at all due to insecurity. So that opens the election up to dispute afterwards, saying that a certain part of the voting public was in fact disenfranchised due to insecurity. So I think that that's something that's going to be a big concern for the legitimacy and credibility of the vote.
Very quickly, Mr. Sedra, just want to ask, I mean, the outcome of this election, how important is it to Canada and to the ISAF mission there?
Oh, it's absolutely crucial. For the international community, this is essentially a benchmark or a symbol of the progress of the international reconstruction effort. It's going to send a message to populations from NATO countries who are already on the fence regarding their continued support for the mission about how much progress has been made in the more than 7 years of support that the international community has been providing. So it's absolutely crucial.
Mr. Sedra, appreciate your time. Thank you.